watching movies and jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.
Welcome back to K-Flix Fiction Radio. This week we set out to become a podcast of our time. But sometimes, if you do a good enough job...
Oh, dude, I hate the Eagles.
Yeah, I know, buddy.
Shawn was quoting Don Henley just now from the end of the very famous, infamous History of the Eagles documentary from 2013.
Oh, man, what a watch that 3-hour epic documentary is.
Yeah. And it ends with one of the most self-congratulatory things I've ever heard in my life.
It's so true.
You know, I was kind of warned, like, Don Henley's going to look like kind of a dick in this.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I don't know what to make. I don't like any of those people, really. Randy Meisner seemed like a really nice, calm dude.
Sure.
Everybody else, I'm like, I couldn't even begin to wade into that because, again, I really don't like the Eagles.
I do not have the aversion that you have to the Eagles. I mean, they're not my favorite band. They have some pretty good songs as far as I'm concerned, but that documentary did not make any of them look like people I would want to have a beer with.
Yeah, no, nobody really looked better. For me, it just solidified like there was something I was detecting all along about these guys, and I was right.
Yeah.
They just kind of, I mean, they're not horrible people. They just kind of suck, you know?
Yes.
For me, realistically, the reason I don't care for Eagles songs is because I feel like they don't have much to say. That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I'm not ready to do a essay defending that right now because that's not even really what we're here talking about.
Yeah. We're here to talk about the parody of the Eagles, the Blue Jean Committee.
Yes, a parody of really 70s rock or soft rock in its entirety.
Well, the episodes of documentary now that feature the Blue Jean Committee are a pretty good parody of the History of the Eagles documentary.
That's true. Yeah, that was definitely, I think they've called it the jumping off point for sure. The Eagles doc.
Definitely.
The Blue Jean Committee, it's Fred Armisen and Bill Hader. And there are other members, but they're really not featured in the doc. They really put all the focus on the two of them. I mean, they pop up a couple times.
John Spurney is the one that gets featured the most out of any of the other band members because he has a couple of talking head moments.
Yeah, for the most part, the others are just kind of there. And they condense all of the back and forth feelings from the Eagles doc into these two characters. I feel like Hader's character is the one who lives in the Hollywood Hills. He's got the mansion. He's got all the royalties. And he, in my mind, he's Don Henley and Glenn Frey combined into one person. The sort of OG, the bookkeepers, the corporate CEOs of the Eagles. You know, everything in that doc was like, somebody was like, I want to do something because of like my personal feelings or because of art or whatever. And they're like, it's not what's best for the Eagles. Like what's best for the Eagles kept getting like bandied around. I mean, it's whatever. You can turn any art into a business. Ask George Lucas. There are no rules, but like you do sacrifice something when you start running it that way in terms of how it is appreciated as art, I guess.
I do really want a Catalina cooler, that being said.
Yeah. So yeah. Hader is the successful ones, and then Armisen plays a character who has returned to his Chicago life that he came up in as a sausage maker.
Yeah, I love that they met at like sausage school.
Sausage plays a big role in this, and yeah, that's the sort of crux of it is like Hader's character forgot where he came from. He forgot what it means to be a Chicagoan, a sausage loving Midwesterner.
Didn't lose the accent, though.
Didn't lose the accent. No, everybody had the accent, even the other guys in the band. But yeah, Armisen sort of represents all the other members of the Eagles who fell off or were kicked out along the way. I mean, especially I think the first guitar player, Bernie Ledden.
Yes.
Like Bernie got the real short end of the stick in terms of like he was gone before they probably had many of their big hits for him to cash in on.
I mean, they still had some Witchy Woman was on their first record.
That's true. Yeah. But I did realize in watching this that like I do like them less and less as they go on. I actually like them a lot less when Joe Walsh comes in. I like them less when they start to get like political, but moderate political. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know much about Jerry Brown. As a Californian, you might know more. I know he's a divisive figure there. I know the Dead Kennedys fucking hated him, and I've listened to the Dead Kennedys a lot more than the fucking Eagles. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
I also do not know much about him.
Write us with your thoughts on California Governor Jerry Brown.
Or your thoughts on the Eagles, for that matter. Do you side with Dustin, or do you just think that they exist as a band you hear occasionally?
I mean, that's how I experience the Eagles as well.
Oh, okay.
To be clear, they do exist as a band I hear occasionally. I don't know. The Lebowski thing made it cool to hate the Eagles.
Yes.
I really did feel that way before I saw that movie. I want that to be known. I really did feel this way.
Lifelong, not an Eagles fan.
What I do love are a lot of the other bands that are parodied in the Documentary Now episode.
That's true. The Blue Jean Committee doesn't sound like the Eagles very often. They have moments of sounding like the Eagles, but I think a majority of the time they sound like other bands from the time.
Yes, I think some of the songs are very specifically parodies of certain songs by other bands, and some of them are just like amalgams of that scene, that 70s like chill rock scene.
Totally agree. And there's some great bands that came out of that time period and that style of music. I like quite a bit of it.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff I think we're going to play today that are tracks that I love.
Oh, for sure. I know that you're going to have more than me, but I do have a couple of things that I think are pretty spot on, and I wouldn't be surprised if I shared the same feelings with you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I will say, just for anyone listening to this show right now and is interested in the Blue Jean Committee episodes of Documentary Now, I can't stress enough that you should watch the Eagles documentary because it enhances the experience tenfold.
It definitely does.
It's so funny. And so often throughout watching the history of the Eagles documentary, I said aloud, "Oh, I can't wait for them to parody that."
The number of times various members refer to themselves as alphas in that doc.
You sent me a screen capture of one of them.
We were all just a bunch of alphas, you know. That was Joe Walsh when Randy Meisner left the band. Which, okay, if I have a favorite Eagles song, it might be "Take It to the Limit."
Oh, okay, sure, that's a good one.
It might be Randy's one, but yeah, like in the doc they go through, like he was sick of playing that song every night, stood his ground, said I'm not gonna play it, and they said leave, and he did, and then it cuts to Joe Walsh, and he's like, he wasn't an alpha, man. He just wasn't alpha.
Oh, good Lord. That's so funny.
And the joke of like, I mean, I think what Documentary Now tapped into is the joke of like all this like macho alpha dog stuff, and then like the limp dick music that comes out of it, you know?
Yes.
The total soft rock that they end up making.
Another thing that I loved in the Documentary Now episodes was the fact that they got the actual manager for the fucking Eagles to be the manager of the Blue Jean Committee.
Yes. Irving Azoff played Alvin Isoff, and they shot it like it looks just like his interview shot in the Eagles doc. Like, it's perfect. I did read a fun fact about that.
Oh, yeah?
Did you come across?
Well, I maybe. I don't know what fact you came across.
Well, apparently they, like, I don't think they were even, they didn't even have the idea of him being in it, but he called Lorne Michaels.
Oh, I actually have a clip.
Oh, you have the clip. Great.
It's from The Hollywood Reporter. It's Seth Meyers explaining how he was involved with the project.
We had sent out the casting sheet, and basically it said in Irving Azoff type, and he saw it, and he called Lorne and said, I want to play it.
That's amazing.
And his son played the younger version of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy that his son played the younger version of him as well. That was not a thing that I knew until I heard this clip.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. There were like some of the shots they used were just from the Eagles doc. Like the one where he's flipping off the camera. Like I remember that.
Yes. A lot of the still shots were directly from the Eagles doc.
Yeah.
In the same interview, Fred talks about how they used period correct instruments and amps such as guitars and keyboards to help get the accurate sound of the time.
Yeah, they put a lot of thought into that, it sounds like.
I mean, I think it paid off.
With all of the documentary now stuff, man, you can tell this is a labor of love for them.
Yes, they are incredibly tuned in to the things that they are parodying, and it's super great because of that. I also really loved the way that they parodied the benefit show from the Eagles documentary about how, like, one of the members got super pissed that they weren't going to get paid for doing the benefit show, and he felt that they deserved to be paid and that the benefit show was a waste of his time.
They kind of flipped it because it was the hater character, the successful character who was behind doing the benefit, but it was like in order to get more money, you know?
Right, yeah.
Armisen's character was leaning on the artistic argument.
And then it leads...
Gene.
Yes, Gene Allen.
Sorry, we haven't mentioned their names. Bill Hader plays Clark. Fred Armisen plays Gene. That's all we need to know.
Right, yeah. And at that show, we get the moment from the Eagles documentary where they have the argument on stage for the live mics to be picked up.
Which is insane.
That argument, oh my God. Like, when that started happening in the History of the Eagles documentary, I was like, oh, this is for sure going to be in the Blue Jean Committee stuff. And I was so happy when it was.
Yeah, just I'm going to fucking kill you when we get off the stage.
Yeah, I think one of Bill Hader's lines was like, yeah, well, you better have a gun the next time you see me or something like that.
It's one of those things where if you just saw it, you wouldn't even necessarily realize it was so directly inspired from real life.
No. But again, that's what I'm talking about. Like, having watched the Eagles documentary makes the Blue Jean Committee stuff so fucking funny.
It enhances so much. That is the reason I have not watched all of documentary now, is because I always feel like I have to watch the real doc that it's spoofing first.
I mean, they are great still on their own, but it is just so much better having seen the thing that they're making fun of.
Yeah. And they're not always it's not always a direct, one for one thing. Like, even this one, like we said, it's also a parody of the time.
Yes.
But like, there's always like one keystone doc that like they sort of pin everything on. Ties it together. Yeah.
The glue, if you will. Yeah.
Yes.
Just one quick thing about the Eagles in general and my thoughts on the Eagles before we move on down the line here, Dustin.
Sure.
I have always thought the Eagles could be a country band if you just sang any of their lyrics with like a country draw.
Oh, for sure.
And that's not really a thing that I hear a lot of people talk about. So I would like to just give you a quick example of what I hear in my head when I hear the Eagles.
Okay.
Take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Lighten up while you still can. Don't even try to understand. Just find a place to make your stand and take it easy. Sing along, Dustin.
I don't know the words. I hate the
Well,
words.
I was standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. It's a girl, my lord, in a flatbed Ford, slowing down to take a look at me. I don't know. It's a fucking country song if I ever heard one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You're on the money there. I mean, they even had like banjo and stuff early on. Like they were aiming to have that Western sound.
Oh, yeah.
And then later aiming to shed it. Be a real rock and roll band or whatever. No, you're 100% on point. We did find out that was like half a Jackson Brown song in the documentary.
Yes!
Like he came up with the standing on the corner line and the melody.
Yeah, which was crazy. I never knew that. So the history of the Blue Jean Committee goes back a little bit further than the episodes of Documentary Now, and even further than the Eagles documentary in 2013.
Yeah, it does.
Back to Saturday Night Live in 2011, though these versions of the Blue Jean Committee are slightly different. For example, the Saturday Night Live version has no Bill Hader within the band, though he is still in the sketch. And the band is from Northampton, Massachusetts, rather than Chicago, Illinois.
Correct.
And just as a funny side bit, the Muppets are also in this performance of Massachusetts Afternoon that's performed on Saturday Night Live. The SNL members of the band are Fred Armisen on guitar and lead vocals. We have Jason Segel, the host of the episode, on keyboards, Kenan Thompson on the bass, and Jason Sudeikis rocking the drums.
But this boy right here kept his cool in the heat of the moment when he opened the door for her as she stepped into Mikey's bowling lanes. You've never seen so much chivalry in one broke-ass Northampton city kid. And I'm talking about Massachusetts afternoon, hanging out on the porch, drinking cinnamon beer with you. Alright, Massachusetts afternoon.
I've never had a cinnamon beer. Is that a thing that exists? Have you had a cinnamon beer
Never
before?
heard of a cinnamon beer. There are definitely some on the market now, according to Google.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that as like a vintage thing, though. I think they are definitely heavily parodying an act here, but it's not the Eagles yet.
Oh, no. This one is not influenced by the Eagles because they haven't seen the Eagles documentary yet.
Oh, yeah. This was literally before the documentary came out. I think what they're doing here is a Velvet Underground. They're doing a Lou Reed.
Your shoes and a big straw hat. He's never.
The way that Armisen is singing, and I think the way that Armisen sings actually works really well for a Lou Reed parody. It works less well for the big vocals of the 70s stuff, of the 70s rock, what we're going to get to.
Right.
You just accept it because it's funny and it's Fred Armisen and it works well enough. But I do think this was a good idea for them back in the day to try because his sound works really well with the Lou Reed style.
Oh, totally. And just so everybody knows, in case you want to listen to Massachusetts Afternoon, they did an actual recording of the song in 2014, and it sounds pretty great.
Massachusetts afternoon, hanging out on the porch, drinking cinnamon beer with you. Massachusetts afternoon, staying at my cousin's place, I write love letters to you.
I really like that dreamy guitar that they put in there. Mm-hmm. It's really nice.
Yeah, I feel like there was probably a better instrumental Velvet Underground song for me to pick, but I was trying to get at the Lou Reed-ness of it.
Oh, sure. Continuing on, as we mentioned, History of the Eagles documentary came out 2 years after this SNL performance in 2013. And the Documentary Now episodes, the two-part, Gentle and Soft, the story of the Blue Jean Committee, came out in 2015. So it's all in a 2-year increment.
I can't believe this show's been around for that long.
I know, right?
They've only had 4 seasons. I mean, again, it's a labor of love. This is, I assume, not well funded and incredibly hard to make. And they do it great every time.
In the universe of the Documentary Now episodes, we find out that the Blue Jean Committee had released 2 albums in the style of a Chicago blues band. Mm-hmm. Their first record was called St. Stanislav's Matinee, and the song that we get a little snippet of is Hey Miss.
Hey miss, can I get a beer and then a couple of beers? Hey miss.
I love how central beer is. Like, we played 2 Blue Jean Committee songs that have 2 beer-related lyrics.
I mean, this one, it makes, like, it's trying to be very Chicago, and it's good. The St. Stanislaus thing, the beer, it's all very Chicago.
Yeah. And speaking of Chicago references, the album title for their next record was 221 Polanski Parkway. And they list off a bunch of song titles such as Wind of the Lake and Goodbye Dan Ryan. But also, if you pause when it's showing the track lists of the record, you also get Wolves at My Door and My Baby.
Okay.
And then we get 2 small samples of Lip Service and Steamin'.
Lip service. Watch out for that lip service. Uptown, downtown, everybody's steaming. In the outskirts and in the inskirts, everybody's steaming.
So yeah, that's the blues version of the Blue Jean Committee. Mm-hmm. And these songs were written by Fred Armisen, John Spurney, and Eric Kenward. Eric Kenward is also the co-author of the Blue Jean Committee Documentary Now episodes.
Oh, okay.
That leads us into the third album from the Blue Jean Committee, also their final album, Catalina Breeze, which is their big, massive breakthrough where all of the songs we'll be talking about today come from. A couple of extra songs that are not featured in the show are She's Going to Hollywood, Montecito Memories, Hibiscus, Ain't No Funny Feeling, and Satin Symphony. And we have already run through the band members very quickly. It is Fred Armisen is Gene, Bill Hader is Clark, and John Spurney on keyboards is playing John Spurney. But John Spurney in real life is spelled Jon. John Spurney in Blue Jean Committee is John.
Right, yeah, they differentiate it.
And the 3 writers that I mentioned before, Fred Armisen, Eric Kenward, and John Spurney, wrote all of the songs for the show.
Right, minus the Massachusetts Afternoon.
Yes, which was only written by Fred Armisen, to my understanding.
I think so, yeah. And it doesn't even show up in documentary now. It's not like, it is a totally different thing. Just happens to also be the Blue Jean Committee in name.
Yes, it shares the name.
It shares the name and it shares Fred Armisen.
Yeah, but he is playing a different character. He says his name is JC in the SNL sketch.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Speaking of SNL real quick, because I forgot to mention this earlier, I do want to take it back.
Please.
To, I think, the first time we saw Seth Meyers and Armisen and Hader collaborate on a music doc sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
This is from a sketch called The History of Punk.
In all of punk music, there was no one angrier than Ian Rubbish. He was angry at the police.
Hey, policeman! My boat goes in your face! He hated the shopkeeper, the bus driver, he hated the Queen.
The song's called Cunt in a Crown.
When Margaret Thatcher was elected Prime Minister, and I remember thinking, I said, look out, Margaret Thatcher, you're about to get rubbished.
Attention, attention! I've got a message for you about your Prime Minister. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, Maggie Thatcher, you're all right.
So the whole joke of this is it's this really well executed punk documentary looking thing. It looks like the interviews they show look like real interviews that I've seen from Sex Pistols and The Clash from, you know, the late 70s. The joke of the whole thing being like they have everything in common with punk. They hate everything, but he loves Maggie Thatcher. Legendarily conservative politician in UK history. And it's just the rest of the band and everyone else being confused as to why Ian Rubbish, perfect punk name.
So good.
That they created, Fred Armisen's character, loves Thatcher.
What year was that?
Oh, season 38, 2013. This was 2013. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to give a nod to that because it's like, again, not the same thing at all, but like it is the music documentary thing. And it's really well done. As far as SNL pre-tape sketches go, I could see this having inspired them to go like, oh, we should do this as a show.
Sure. How about we let the people hear some of the Blue Jean Committee? It's time for everybody to experience the breezes of Catalina, don't you think, Dustin?
Yeah, dude, let's run through the album. It's like 7 tracks, so we can actually do the whole thing. Lay that Catalina Breeze on them.
A barstool intellectual, a master's degree in small talk, and going to the movies.
Now, this song in particular, I don't think sounds anything like the Eagles.
No, it's not Eaglesy at all.
To me, this one sounds like most Steely Dan songs sort of rolled into one.
Yeah, I'd grant you that. Yeah.
I didn't play it right there, but I'm going to play it for you right now. Even the way that the song starts is like super Steely Dan.
Yes.
Like that solo, just like keyboard or organ going off is so fucking Steely Dan.
I think lyrically it's very Steely Dan too.
Yes, lyrically it is super Steely Dan. Musically, it's not super Deacon Blues, but lyrically it is very Deacon Blues. So that's the Steely Dan song that I would like to play.
Okay.
Drink scotch whiskey all night long and die behind the wheel. They got a name for the winners in the world. I want a name when I lose. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Blues.
Yes, it has that Donald Fagen, like, thinking man's music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I had Hey 19 queued up for this.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe this one's a little more musically like it is.
Yes, you have the organ and the keyboard stuff going hard for this one.
But I mean, you're right. I think you said it best. It is kind of Steely Dan wrapped up into one. Doobie Brothers I would accept as well as a comparison.
Okay,
for this.
sure. Yeah, there's some doobies in there.
And I would say there's at least a little nod just with the title to Seals and Croft.
Summer breeze.
Oh, sure.
if for nothing else, just the breezy bit.
Absolutely. So I just want to point out one quick thing, right? So I had the Steely Dan note in my documents before I read this information. I had the Deacon Blues right there. It was in the notes. Found the information yesterday. Apparently, one of the inspirations for this was the classic albums episode about Steely Dan's Aja.
Oh, really?
Which I've also seen because I fucking absolutely love that album, which Deacon Blues is on. So the inspiration that came from that episode was to have the documentary now just focus on them making one central album, and that album being the Catalina Breeze album.
Gotcha. Okay. The joke becoming that it was their only album.
Right. Well, they had the two blues albums before that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What is classic albums? Is this something I need to watch?
Oh my God, dude. Yes. It's so good. It's like it's not mini documentaries. It's full, like, at least hour-long documentaries about just classic albums and how they were made and, like, the technology that they used for it.
Oh, cool.
When I read that was all tied into this, I was like, holy shit, not only have I seen that, that's, like, one of my favorite albums. Like, this is so cool. And just to touch on the writers of these songs one more time.
Yeah.
Eric Kenward is a longtime SNL writer. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I did not.
He started in 2001, and as of me talking right now, is still employed by SNL as a writer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's pretty crazy. And a super cool thing about John Spurney is that he is a member of David Wayne and Ken Marino's middle-aged dad jam band.
Oh, that you see regularly. Yes.
Yeah. And he also composed music for super cool stuff like At Home with Amy Sedaris and Fred Armisen's Stand Up for Drummers special.
Oh, nice. At Home with Amy Sedaris is a weird thing that I have seen a bit of and need to see more.
She is a fearless comedian, and I love her for that.
Oh, yes. She's one of those people that just enriches anything she shows up in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Should we pop over to the next track? I've got Freeway Song ready to go.
Oh, let's do it.
This is one where I feel like Fred Armisen got the best of himself, and he couldn't help but do this like Clash-inspired punky little walking bass line.
Oh.
Like the bass line to this doesn't fit any of the music that we're talking about, in my mind.
That's fair. Though, like, a lot of these songs sort of sound like America, not the country, the band.
The band, yeah.
In a lot of ways, and I feel like this one has some America influence to it.
You don't care, I know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Like this song, Ventura Highway?
Yeah. The band America is really fucking good.
They are good. I've slept on America for a long time. I would say this one has a little Eagles in it, too, though.
I would agree, but not this version of it. The one that they do in the show where they're like singing backstage is the most Eagles sounding thing that they do.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that is totally 100% aped from the Eagles doc, too.
It is.
Like them gathered around backstage doing a vocal warm-up.
Yeah, that moment is lifted directly from the Eagles documentary.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it sounds enough like early Eagles. Take it easy, Eagles.
Sure.
It's sad we only get, like, on the album, that song is 53 seconds long.
And the lyrics you heard are the only lyrics in those 50 seconds.
That's true. That is correct.
It does not spice it up at all beyond that. It's just a repeated chorus.
Hey, man, sometimes you just got to make a thing for the clip in the show.
100%. The second most Eagles sounding moment from any of the pieces of music for me comes in the song Walkin' Shoes.
Okay.
And it's the Yaz in the chorus.
Oh, yeah.
When the going gets tough, yeah. When the weather gets rough, yeah. Strap him on, lace him up, put on my walking shoes.
Those Yaz also remind me of the opening of What Condition My Condition Is In by Kenny Rogers.
Oh, okay.
Which it was funny to me when that song showed up in the Eagles documentary because they had met up with Kenny Rogers. And it's like, oh, This song's on the Lebowski soundtrack. Walkin' Shoes is interesting to me, though, because this one is the most like an artist I don't associate as much with the 70s, more late 60s. Harry Nilsson is who I'm thinking of. Like that, at least the opening of Walking Shoes sounds so much like Everybody's Talking to me.
Yeah.
I don't hear words they're saying.
Again, I can't say for sure if he's going for a Harry Nilsson thing, but like just in terms of the sound of the song, I was like, oh, it's got the same flavor, whatever that is.
To me, Walking Shoes, it felt like it could have been a song in A Mighty Wind with just like a couple of little tiny tweaks.
Sure, yeah.
Like it had that folky driving vibe to it, you know?
I can hear that for sure. Next up, let's hit Mama You're a Dancer, which I think, Shawn, you said is the first one that appears in the doc.
To my recollection, yes.
Now this one I'm playing right from the beginning because it's that opening little riff thing that feels very, I don't know, it feels very familiar. It feels very Eagles-y. It just feels like a lot of stuff from like how everybody wanted to play guitar in this 70s scene.
Sing a song just like a southern.
This one nails a lot of sounds that I can't necessarily place because like the bass line is like too funky almost for
it's pretty groovy.
What they're going for.
I mean, it's I could Steely Dan got there, you know. I would say we're back in that world.
Okay.
Well, okay, let's start with the riff. The riff is a little reminiscent of like say the opening riff from Reelin' in the Years.
Okay, yeah. Again, great fucking song. If you're not listening to Steely Dan, what the hell is wrong with you? Because they're so goddamn good.
And then I've got another Steely Dan, My Old School, just as an example of something that has a little more funk to it.
The bass line still isn't as funky. Like that was really fucking funky.
It was really funky. You're right.
George Clinton could have taken that bass line and put it in something, you know? It's like
Okay. Yeah.
It's like it's such a groove.
Again, like it's this one is steeped in the flavor, but I can't find the specific like, oh, it's a take on this song.
So I would like to play a little bit of Mr. Fix It. It's another crazy short song. There's really not a whole lot to it. I think it's under a minute long. Yep, 40 seconds. Here we go. And when you hear it, you're 100% going to be able to tell where I'm going to go with it after the clip is over. This should be all you need to hear to know where I'm going to go with it, but...
I mean, if the last one was kind of nebulous, this one is way more overt.
Hey there, Mr. Fix-It.
That's right. It's ELO's Mr. Blue Sky.
One quick thing I'll add is just that I think a Sir Paul McCartney would argue that he maybe inspired both of these songs.
Woke up, fell out of bed.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
The Mr. Blue Sky A Day in the Life comparison has definitely been made. This is not something I am bringing to the table, having come across, but it's out there.
Yeah, interesting. I can definitely hear it.
Yeah, cool. Well, that brings us to the song Going Out to Hollywood. I like this song a lot.
It's a good one.
I'm Joe, and we just laugh and laugh. She says, man, I just gotta get out of here. She's going out to Hollywood. Gonna follow the pretty lights in the sky.
It's such a good chorus.
And you get a little synth creeping in. You know, we've heard mostly guitar stuff and some organ. This one, you get the synthesizer coming in, which to me takes us to Doobie territory.
Oh my God, yes. I love that you're playing one with Michael McDonald too, because he's in the fucking documentary now. Speaking of the Doobie Brothers, the middle-aged dad jam band does an amazing cover of Long Train Runnin'.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you be right now? Now. Everybody sing without love.
That's like one of their big numbers, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That leaves us with one song for the Blue Jean Committee, and it is the title of their documentary, Gentle and Soft.
There's another one that could be tweaked into like a full-on folk.
Yes, 100%. The little finger bells or whatever.
Uh-huh.
That really screams folk to me, the little bell.
So, I don't have a direct comparison. I don't know if this is supposed to be the Eagles or whoever. The one thing that immediately came to mind for me, just with the vocal harmonies, though, is Bad Company.
Oh.
Feel Like Making Love.
In the heaven, feel it dying on the way.
Just the stacked do, do, do.
Yeah.
Not the rest of the song. It's way too rockin' for where they went with this. Really just that one vocal bit. Not even the song, but yeah, just the idea of stacking like da, 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 like barbershop quartet style. I don't know. It's the biggest song I could think of that uses that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, that's a good pull, bud. So now that these breezes of Catalina have swept through our hearts and souls, I got the normal question for you, Dustin. If the Blue Jean Committee were a real band producing real music and albums in our reality, would you listen to them?
Sure. Yeah, they seem to have enough good influence going on. Why does that make you cackle?
It was the way you said they have enough good influence.
As in it's not just Eagles nonsense.
Right, yeah. Yeah. As in these motherfuckers barely sound like a band that I fucking hate.
I mean, even if they did, I'd listen to them over most Eagles songs because it just, again, I just feel like they had nothing to say, really.
Different strokes, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Dustin has no interest in a Hotel California.
No, that song. I mean, it's whatever. That song's like in its own place because it's one of those where the whole world is sick of it, I think.
Oh, yes.
Like we've just heard it so much. No song could survive that.
Well, I once again agree with you. I find the Blue Jean Committee to be very enjoyable music, and I will continue to listen to them in my free time because of that. It's not something that I was familiar with beforehand. I knew that they existed, but I hadn't listened to it.
Same. So I think I'd heard the Lou Reedy one, the SNL one.
Oh, the SNL one. Yes. Yeah. But I had not seen the Documentary Now stuff, nor had I listened to the Catalina Breeze songs. So that's going to close the door on the Blue Jean Committee. Next week, we have a super fun rom-com starring Anne Hathaway called The Idea of You, which brings back a songwriter we talked about last year in 2024, right, Dustin?
It does, yeah. I believe we'll get a little more from Savan Kotecha.
Yeah,
who
from the
wrote a bunch of songs
Eurotrip
for
music.
Eurovision.
Eurovision. Sorry, not Eurotrip. Shit, Scotty doesn't know. He didn't write that. That's Lustra. Oh, my God.
So we're looking forward to cracking that one next week.
Absolutely. And if you had a good time with us talking about the Blue Jean Committee and the Eagles, go ahead and give a rating on whatever platform you're currently listening to this on. And if it happens to be on YouTube, give a subscribe and a like.
Yes, please. You can find all of our stuff at fictionradiopod.com and contact us at fictionradiopod@gmail.com.
See you next week for The Idea of You.
Watching movies, jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.